Okay, and we are live. Wow, I'm actually back on the Livestream 2 Art and Modular Paint and Patch. I was supposed to be on last week, and unfortunately, just technical issues were absolute nightmare. So I live streamed the week before on my telephone, and it's got a good camera. It streams live. It was brilliant. It did a good job. I plugged it in to some microphones. It was good. So last week I was about to go live, put my phone on, and YouTube has decided to up its subscriber rate to 1,000 to be able to live stream on your phone. So it totally knocked me out. I rushed to my desktop, tried to stream over my webcam. I needed software. It all went wrong. So I did a bit of investigation, and I can actually live stream from my webcam. And as long as I'm on Chrome, there's nothing too difficult about that. So that's where I am today. I'm actually live streaming on this webcam. It doesn't look too bad, hopefully. The only trouble is that on my phone, I had this sort of attachment thing here, which is quite a little good microphone actually for your iPhone. It really picks up from quite a distance. The trouble is that can't go into a main board because I'm going through my audio interface now. So I've had to, for now, until I get a microphone that I can plug into my main board, I've had to put this microphone here. In fact, I did have another microphone and that broke. So I've had a very good week getting ready for the actual live stream. So anyway, we are up and running. Technically, there might be a few issues with the sound because this is the first time I've done it. I did a quick test, and I did find out that when I was playing some of the equipment, it sounded like a tin can. So I don't know whether the compression's very heavy on this type of live streaming on YouTube rather than the phone, because the sound come over the other week quite well on the phone. So we'll just have to see how we go. Anyway, I'm going to try and keep this quite quick for you as well. And I want to try and keep it down to sort of on a half hour if I can. And so what am I going to talk about today? So I'm going to talk about a bit more about the projects that I'm doing. I did say last time that I talk about the Eventide painting and Dreadbox, so I'll talk a bit more about that. Also, I thought I might talk about some of the artwork that's around, and I've actually just gone down to my gallery in London to pick some artwork up they've had for quite a time. So it's lovely to have those back, and every week I might show you a new piece and just explain a bit about that piece and how that piece was made. So then talk about the evolution on the modular, what I'm doing there, and I'll try and do some work on there as well to and see how that goes. Again, it might not sound good, it might sound bad. We'll have to see how that goes. And then just talk a bit about the modular and where it's going. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe if you can and hit the bell, and that will give you an indication of when I'm going live. And that would be great. So let's get started. Projects, what's going on at the moment? Well, as I discussed in the last live stream, I've got quite a bit on painting wise, but the two things that are really coming up are the Garry Newman painting for his studio and the Art of Modular Synthesis painting, which will be a painting by some musical arrangement by the top Barton. So those are the two things that are coming up. I'm sort of in the vicinity of looking at colours, how that's going to pan out. And how I usually do that is just sit down and listen to the music repeatedly. I sort of get a feeling then for what sort of colours I want to express with that. And then I normally paint in household and industrial paints, so gloss paints that you would paint your door with. So the way I would do that then is go through color charts and have a look at the mixes that I want and what colors I want to mix in with those, and go from there. But with these two projects, I am thinking to switch into traditional artist oils, which I haven't worked in for quite a while now. This is going to take me really off the trajectory of where and how I normally paint, the normal painting technique, but I've just got a feeling I should investigate that sort of line of investigation. So I'm going to do some small test pieces, probably just created to my own soundscapes, and just to see whether that might be a good road of investigation. I would ideally like to paint with traditional oils because they're a lot less caustic than the paints that I paint with, and I paint a lot, so there's a lot of fumes, a lot of gloss paints, and even if you're choosing, the quite good gloss paint that's not too caustic, it's still, really, really smells the room out, and is quite hard to live with within the studio. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll keep you updated with that. And maybe next week I can show you a few small pieces that I've sort of messed around with. So the Garry Newman piece, I didn't tell you what that piece was the last time we spoke. It's off his 2017 album Savage, so I'm sort of glad he picked a relevant new piece. I think that's always nice, because I think as artists, your newest work is always the work that you're pushing forward with, so that's really nice. And the track is called Broken. So if you're on Spotify, or if you've got the album, or if you're on Apple Music, then look up Savage, have a listen to Broken. It is a great, great atmospheric track with some real different texturing to get into the Vogue painting. I think it'll be a great one to paint. The Todd Barton piece he produced especially for me, and that's for the Art of Modular Synthesis, which is the project that I'm collaborating with modular synthesists to produce a collection of artwork to their music. And Todd's made me a piece for this, and it's a fantastic piece. It's very sculptural. I'd say the sound is very sculptural, and it's got lots of movement, and it's got lots of phases within the music. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Now, as for, I was talking about the other week, I'm doing some paintings for Eventide and from Erebus. Well, now that's been interesting, because I should have painted this over 18 months ago. And because of, as I mentioned before, studios, moving houses, I couldn't get round to it. But sort of what happened was that when I originally wanted to get back into modular synthesis, I started talking to Tom Carpenter, the craftsman that invented, designed, and built the Vostoks behind me and many more great pieces of synth equipment. And we started talking. I was asking for some advice. I wanted fully analog synthesis, modular, and he took a liking to my artwork, him and his wife, and we ended up trading artwork for this Vostoks Deluxe here. You may have heard that story before if you've heard some of the things that I've talked about. And it was a lovely thing. It's sort of like, it's art for art's sake, because these things are designs of art. I think they're beautiful in sound and in vision. And that got me to thinking, what a lovely thing that was to do. And I wonder whether I could do that again. So I reached out to Yiannis at Dreadbox, and I said, look, Yiannis, I've done this with Tom. I'd love to do it with more. I'd love to take a piece of equipment and produce a soundscape with that piece of equipment and paint to that. So that is, a piece of artwork for you that's been inspired by your piece of equipment. And Yiannis got back to me, had a quick chat about the equipment, and he sent me some through. And so here we are now with this classic Mark II Dreadbox. And I have to say, it's it's an amazing synth. It really is. I mean, a lot of people do wax lyrical about the Erebus, and for quite a good reason. It's really meaty. It sounds beautiful and creamy. So I'm going to paint a piece of artwork to a soundscape just produced by the Erebus. It's going to be quite tricky because speaking to Yiannis, he loves minimal art, and I love minimal art as well. But I struggle with producing minimal art, but I really want to do something in my style that is quite minimum for him. He liked a piece that I did around about 7 years ago, and it was very minimal. So I'm going to produce a piece of minimal music and see if we can paint some minimal artwork. And then I thought, well, you know, let's do this a bit more. So I decided that I was in desperate need of effects at this stage. So I reached out to Eventide, and they've actually got an artist program at Eventide. But Tony Angelo got back to my email, which I think was absolutely amazing. If you don't know who Tony Angelo is, I mean, he's designed some of the most amazing things. I mean, he's a director now, but he's, you know, designed some of the most amazing things. The H910 harmonizer being one of those things, which is, you know, a very, very famous thing, brought to fame, I suppose, by David Bowie, but plenty more people have used that. I think he built that around about, or designed that around about 1973 or something like that. But it was amazing to hear back from him, and he said, yeah. And so he sent some equipment through, and this is it. So I don't know whether you can see that there. Yeah, you might be able to. The Eventide Space. So this will be interesting. I'm just going to create a soundscape just using the Eventide Space. And I thought I'd do that by just putting some feedback in it from the mixer desk, and then just building layers on top of that with the looper. So that might be interesting. So I've got those two commissions to do, and they've been waiting a long time for those. So, you know, I do apologize to them, and but hopefully I can create something really nice for them. And it's just lovely to be able to have this symbiotic relationship with, you know, people who make equipment, and, you know, a sort of creative exchange of artwork for their, you know, their beautiful design and their creations. So I'd like to do more of that. I haven't at the moment because I think, you know, having two pieces of equipment and not having painted for them, probably I might want to do that before I reach out and do any more of those. But I'd love to do, you know, more of those. So I thought we'd come to the artwork on the wall at the back. That's been on there for quite a time. I'm going to swap it over next week to another piece because, as I say, I've got some stuff back from my gallery now. But I thought I might go through those with you and just quickly explain what those are like. So the one behind you can see is I think was done around about 2-3 years ago, and there's certain pieces that I really like, and I keep him with me for a while before I sell them, and this is, you know, one of them. It is produced to Aphex Twins with a liquor, and I love that piece of music, and this was one of the first pieces that I used this dragging technique. I'll take this mic over with me. I'm sorry about this. I'll obviously try and get a better microphone set up for next time. But yeah, so it's quite. I'll try and bring it closer in a minute. Actually, it's quite fluid in, and there's actually a lot of paint on it. This bottom bit here, so I'll bring it when I bring it closer for a look. This bottom piece here, it's lots of paint, and actually there was that much paint on. I had it framed, and it burst. The paint burst and dripped all over the frame, and I've just kept it like that because I quite like it. But when I do come to sell it, I will cut the bottom off and have it reframed. And then the top bit is layers that have been put underneath this swathe of paint here, because this paint actually went all the way down the painting, so you could see none of this underneath. And then again, I'll try and do some videos to show you my process. I sort of dug in with some Perspex and dragged that back to the layers that I painted underneath. And then just, because there's so much paint in it, let the paint just flow and leave this undulating edge here. Sometimes I have a square edge. I quite like it really geometric, but this is quite organic in a way. So yeah, it was a great piece of music to paint to, and I really feel embodies it. I loved it, and I've kept it on my wall for quite a while. As I say, I will sort of change it over going forward, but I'll bring that a bit closer to you now anyway, just to have a look at it, and then we can get on to some of the modular stuff and let you know where I am, because I'm trying to keep this to an half hour and I can see the time is just whizzing around already, so I apologize about that. So here we go. This gives you a bit of a close-up. I'll just pull it up so you can have a look at more of the detail. But as you probably can see as I'm putting it up, there is a large swathe of paint on the bottom. And you've got this sort of like really sort of blurred, almost like photographic blurred effect going from the top. So yeah, that is that piece. I'll go into some more pieces next week, so you can see what's going on. Hi, Greg, you're in. Hiya, how you doing? So as I say, I'm sorry about the microphone setup at the moment. Hopefully I'll get a boom microphone soon. So that is covering the artwork, and I thought I'd just go into the modular side of things and just talk to you about where I'm sort of going with that. I'm going to try and play a piece when I finish here. I had to go earlier, and for some reason it didn't sound too good, as I say, on the stream. So, but the new, I did touch on the new system last time when we spoke, and I think that this isn't quite there yet. I've got the Moog defam, and I've gone with the defam because I wanted to get away from, I mean, my music I want to try and produce is going to be experimental. So I wanted to get away from the 909, 808 sort of sounds. And I wanted this sort of tribal sound. And I think that the defam gives this sort of tribal sound. It's very organic, which I really like. I've got the lollipop compressor there just so I can tighten things up around the bass and maybe do some side chaining, because the stuff I'm doing is just really intense sound-wise frequencies. I've got a treadstone over there, which is just like an analog voice, and then I've got the generator here, which is like a performance sequencer. Really where I want to go with this is sort of like the analogy of sort of the traditional tape, sort of not musique concrète, but you know, that early sort of tape experimentation, and I want to try and bring that to this system. So I'm looking at a Morphogene and a Magneto. I think that's really sort of going to be my next thing. There is a few utility pieces that I want to buy for it as well, but I sort of want to go down that track because, you know, as the stuff that I sort of want to do is sort of tape loop based, sort of soundscapey type of stuff. So I think that would be nice to sort of go down that road and sort of do that. I want to get the IntelliGel scale. I had a look at that the other day, and I think that'd be a really nice quantizer to put in the system. And then there's a lo-fi junkie that I want, because I want a sort of lo-fi gritty sound in certain places. And of course, then the Continuum fingerboard, which for me is just, and maybe next week I might get into that, or do a live stream just about the Continuum, because there's so much to say about the Continuum. It is it's a beautiful instrument, and it's so expressive. And I know people shout around expressiveness a lot these days, but this truly is. It's so connected with me. I think it's out of everything, it's just really connected with me straight away, because of the way you can play it and the way you can push it and mold sound just with your finger. Your finger's the envelope at the end of the day. That's how this thing works, and it's more of akin to an acoustic instrument, I suppose, the way you play it, than an electronic instrument. But it's got that total interface with your sound engine within inside. It feels like you're pushing those. Pushing that electronic sound within it. So it's absolutely fabulous. And I thought what I do today was a bit of an evolution of what I did last week. So I'm going to do a little bit of a sound sort of drone on there, but I want to bring a little bit of the Continuum in. And then next week, I'll try and bring a bit of defam in. So you can maybe hear some of the stuff that's sort of going around. So that's, again, I'd like to talk more on that. Again, the time's whizzing by, and I wanted to try and keep it to half hour. So I'll just do a few minutes on the equipment that we've got here, and then, I'll round it up. I apologize if the sound is not good. We will see how that goes. This is the first time I've put it all in the board and through the sound card. So fingers crossed. Anyway, I'll just get on and start that, and then I can have a quick chat after. Okay, well, that again, it's so hard to control all this. I'm finding that. I mean, I don't know how that sounded because, again, it sounded quite awful under the compression earlier today. I find that it's just practice, and again, I'm doing this to show you the journey that I'm on and the journey that I'm trying to put together to obviously be able to paint to this. So yeah, again, I never know till I play that back how that's gone, but that's a piece that I'm going to work on and keep fleshing it out and bring more pieces of that equipment in so I can show the equipment and and see sort of how all that progresses through. So we probably are coming up to, I think, maybe about 30. Maybe I've done it within 30 minutes this week. Maybe I have. Maybe I've not. I'm not too sure. But yeah, it would be good to see you back this time next week. And I'll talk a bit more of how the artwork is progressing, how the modular is progressing. Again, give me some feedback. If you'd like to see more of the stuff that I'm talking about, modular, or more of the artwork, then, I'll be guided with that. But if you're coming on to the channel for the first time, please remember to subscribe to get those subscribers up and hit the bell. And then, you will be notified when I'm going live. So I think that wraps it up. And if you could leave any comments, please do. And I will see you this time next week. And thanks for joining.